in DC on homelessness. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Muriel Bowser. There she is.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Steve, I want to thank you for that introduction. And I'm going to have to copy that phrase. There's great nervousness when a new mayor is elected. And I'm sure you speak for probably hundreds of thousands of people in saying that there's also great hope when there is a new mayor elected, but indeed great nervousness. The mayor herself was even nervous. And that's a good thing. Good nervous energy propels us to think big and to work super hard. And it's really my pleasure to be here today. On behalf of the 660,000 of us that call DC home, I want to welcome everybody to your nation's capital. I want to thank Nan and Steve and the entire team at the National Alliance to End Homelessness. And thank you for all the work you do across the country, and especially for the work that good folks are doing right here in Washington, D.C. I want to recognize all of the colleagues from the metro area who have joined us for this great conference, including our Director of the Department of Human Services in the District of Columbia, Laura Zeilinger. Including our director on the Interagency Council on Homelessness, Christy Greenwalt. Christy Greenwalt, a big round of applause. And so many people who are working with us inside the government, our nonprofit community, our housing community, and all of our provider community on the work that we have to do together. As many of you know, through the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, you have met Laura, and you know her focus and achievements as it relates to ending homelessness across our country, especially for veterans. And as she can attest, and I hope many of you, that ending homelessness in Washington, D.C. is indeed one of my top priorities as mayor. You will see in your visit here, it is. Washington is indeed a fantastic city, and I'm privileged to be the mayor of my hometown, and I can tell you firsthand the progress we've made in this city since I grew up here. We enjoy one of the healthiest economies anywhere in the United States. We are one of the fastest growing cities, upwards of 800 people every single month, a net gain of 800 people move into Washington, D.C. We top just about every top 10 list when it comes to livability, and our finances are the envy of cities all across this nation. But yet, despite our tremendous success and prosperity, we know that that prosperity doesn't reach every corner of the city. In fact, the prosperity that we have been growing in Washington, in fact, puts a lot of pressures on many corners of the city and many sectors of our city. So I would love to stand here and tell you that we don't have any homelessness in our town, that everyone in our city enjoys a roof over his or her head, and that every man, woman, and child has a place to call home. But we know this isn't true. We face in our city, like many others, historic economic inequality. Too many of our residents can't afford to continue to live in their own neighborhoods. Too many people struggle to meet their basic needs. And far too many people are, in fact, living on the streets or in shelters. We regard this in our city as unacceptable. And that's why we're on a mission to make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring in the capital of the free world. The solution is not simple, and certainly one size does not fit all. And if it did, we wouldn't all be here trying to figure out solutions. You and I know that it will take more than just one government entity or one advocacy campaign. The solution requires real collaboration across the entire community. So in the district, we created the Interagency Council on Homelessness, which includes everyone around the table. The city administrator is a co-chair. Cabinet directors sit around the table. Advocates and providers alike are part of the solution. And most importantly, real people who experienced homelessness, people who know what's working in our system and know all too well what's broken in our system are around the table. The council recently, that's good, that's a good thing. So the council recently released a plan called Homeward DC, which is our roadmap to achieving our goals. They developed a plan based on evidence and proven practices based on what it really takes to end homelessness. We know we have to make an investment in more affordable housing. We have to make investments in permanent supportive housing. We have to invest in rapid rehousing with a real focus on services, and doing it all at the same time, and doing it in a housing-first way. So yes, collaboration is important. And smart planning is important. So despite the overall budget gap that we needed to fill this year, I had the privilege of taking the oath of office on January the 2nd. And just like every mayor in the history of mayors, I inherited all the good things that my predecessors accomplished. I also inherited the Lulus that they left me with. And a part of the Lulu is a $190 million budget deficit when you walk in the door. At the same time, in hyperthermia season is when I took the oath for the office, where we have the most critical need for emergency shelter. Then we knew that we could not only talk the talk, but we had to walk the walk. And every mayor is able to put teeth to her promises in the first budget. So what we were able to do was close the $190 million budget gap, while at the same time make historic investments in ending homelessness in the district. Here's what we've done. We've pledged $145 million for locally funded homelessness assistance, including a nearly $23 million down payment on the first year of implementing our strategic plan. The budget includes several million dollars in homelessness prevention, and we're looking to our partners in other cities in the home-based model to inform our prevention efforts. We devoted $35 million for permanent supportive housing for families and individuals. We have set aside $20 million for rapid rehousing, which we continue to refine to ensure that people get the support that they need to succeed and find their permanent home. We are investing in more wraparound services so that we can tackle problems holistically. For the first time in 10 years, we opened a daytime service center. The center serves as a place where people can take care of immediate needs like laundry, showers, and food. But it's also a place where they can receive services that directly link them to housing and job support. My budget includes historic investments as well in affordable housing. We want the emergency shelter and housing system to be just that, for emergencies. And we want to have systematic, consistent, reliable funding in affordable housing. That's why my budget includes $100 million to support our Housing Production Trust Fund, which will preserve and create affordable housing units. So these investments are just a start. It's a down payment. We have a long road ahead, but we're committed to doing just that. We're fortunate in our city that our growth and prosperity allows us to invest in spreading that prosperity across all 8 wards of the District of Columbia. But those investments won't continue. I won't be able to make the arguments with Laura and Christy if we aren't successful. So that's why the work that you're doing, testing practices all across the city to move people to productivity and sustainability and the ability to afford their own home. We know when we put housing first, people will take care of all their other needs. And that's why we're committed in this city to doing exactly that. We've set big goals for ourselves. We joined the First Lady and President Obama to end veteran homelessness this year and to end chronic and family homelessness in our city with equally aggressive goals. We're committed to ending family homelessness. You're going to hear, if you haven't already, about a troubled family shelter we have by 2018, 2 years ahead of the federal goal. We understand that these goals are bold, they're big. We also understand that we're asking a lot of our fellow residents. The taxpayers of the District of Columbia has stepped up in a big way. We're also asking neighborhoods across the District of Columbia to welcome their fellow residents who are exiting homelessness in neighborhoods where their children can go to school, where they can be safe, and where they can get back on track. And we owe it to them to only do and only invest in the practices that we know will be successful. Now, I know Washington isn't alone in the race to end homelessness. Other cities like Salt Lake, New Orleans, Houston, and cities all across our nation are stepping up to the challenge as well. I also know that there are innovative and inspiring things happening across the country, and we want to hear from you. I make available our team to share the experiences that we have in Washington, and I hope that you will call on us and share the experiences that you have at home. We all, too, know that we can do a lot as cities, and I can do a lot as the mayor, but we also have the opportunity to reach out to our leaders. That's why you're here in Washington, right? So you want to reach out to your leaders in the Congress. Reach out to President Obama and his staff like we did just the other day, because we have an innovative idea that we think the federal government should step up and help us with that can serve as a model for this nation. So big cities do big things all at the same time. So if we can have a growing economy, if we can attract people from every background and income level, if we can have great sports teams, the best arts and culture, then certainly we can promise that people that work hard, do their best, can have a safe place to live. Thank you for your commitment.